Couple of things that I want to talk about. First off with Mr. Chapman, two places to invest your money: gold, silver, looking at $1,300 to $1,500 on the gold, and looking at silver at $30. That is probably where it's going to go, and the gold, he says, could go up all the way up to about 6,000, depending on what happens on the inflation issue. There's missing gold at the Canadian Mint. They aren't saying anything about it. Very little is coming out, but they've got millions of dollars of gold missing, and you're saying, well, it's not really missing. They got pretty tight controls. They're probably using it so the U.S. can take care of some of their obligations and also to suppress gold prices. Another part of the rigging, right?
That's probably true, or there could be that one of the Canadian banks might have been in the market and get caught on the wrong side of the market and need gold for delivery. That's a possibility as well. But I can tell you one thing, it wasn't stolen. I mean, you just don't walk in and steal, billions of dollars worth of gold.
It's quite a heist, but if you want to talk about a heist, this is the one on the Italian border coming out, and this was about $134.5 billion in U.S. bonds. Now, this is a story that I've seen nowhere else except from the International Forecaster. Tell a little bit about this. This is really crazy, isn't it?
Well, the two Japanese gentlemen were entering Switzerland from Lugano, and Lugano is in the south of Switzerland, and there was a false bottom in one of the attaché cases that this man, one of these two men, or both of them, were carrying, and I think they had $134 billion worth of bonds, and they were bearer bonds, and from what I can understand so far, they were real. And I suspect that somebody wanted to sell these bonds, and somebody being a country, and they decided they didn't want to go through normal channels, so they were going to bring them into Switzerland to do that. And I don't think that turned out to be a very good idea. I don't think we're ever going to know what really happened in that instance because they're going to cover it all up. And I don't think we'll be told. It may come out in 5 or 10 years, but we're not going to be privy to what went on there.
That's an awful lot of money. I mean, that's probably the biggest heist I've ever heard of. But your information now is that it's actually real money.
Right.
They're real.
And it probably belongs to a country like Russia or China or whatever. Someone who could have that kind of paper.
Now, your Universa Investments LP, which has links to Black Swan author and New York University professor Nassim Nicholas Taleb, they're starting a hedge fund where they're looking for inflation. They're looking for a number of things to be happening. This is a guy who's made a ton of money by betting correctly. Now, can an individual get into one of these funds, or is it so much money that there's no way a person can possibly even think about buying into it?
I can't remember what the minimum is, but I think it's $50 million or something like that.
I'm not in that category.
Not yet. But
no.
They don't want to fiddle around with small investors because they don't want to have to answer a lot of questions. They do what they do, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, that's great.
The other thing that you're looking at is delivery demands. More and more people are taking delivery, and I've been hearing this from other people, that the COMEX is really in trouble, either now or coming up in September when people demand delivery. Tell a little bit about that, and it's why you want to take physical delivery of your gold. You want it in your hand. You don't want any certificates. You want to have the gold in your hand, don't you?
I think the average person certainly should. And what's happened in the last delivery date, which was a couple of months ago, the amount of gold demanded by contract holders on the COMEX which is normally about 1% or less, was somewhere around 20 or 25%. And so what happened was that Deutsche Bank had to deliver, and they were delivering against a short position. Now, I don't know where they got the gold from, but they got the gold to deliver. Then, also, the European Central Bank sent gold to the COMEX as well, and a substantial amount. And I think that COMEX was naked short, and I think it's a serious problem. And we don't know quite yet what June delivery is going to be, but June delivery ends, I think it's next week. I don't think it's this week. I think next week is when it ends. And they'll probably take an equal amount out again. And so if COMEX runs out of gold, which they should not, based upon their contract, they're supposed to have gold set aside, they're obviously lying. And it could create a scandal and a collapse of the COMEX.
And if that happens, then you're going to see gold prices going even higher. They've been trying to bring them down, but you've still got gold ranging between $930 to $960. It isn't falling. More we get back on Erskine Overnight with Robert Chapman, the international forecaster. Looking at a possible 10 to 20-year depression with a world fascist government at the end of it. That's what we're looking at. A couple of things that, little factoids. First off, extended stay hotels, bankruptcy, 680 properties in 44 states. Creditors are seizing Social Security and VA payments because they're going into direct deposit accounts, and they're going into and taking it out of the accounts. They can't take the payment, but they can take them out of the accounts if they're being directly deposited. And third, one of the key issues that I know that Robert Chapman and I want to talk with you about, contact your senators about Senate Bill 604. That's the Federal Reserve Sunshine Act. We've got an opportunity, the first time and maybe the last and the best chance in our lifetime, to actually rein in or do away with the Federal Reserve and let the Treasury of the United States print our own money instead of the Federal Reserve. Get them out of the way with Senate Bill 604. This is critical, isn't it, Mr. Chapman?
It certainly is, and very surprisingly, that bill has 233 co-sponsors in the House. And that'll be brought out of committee soon, and it will be voted on, and hopefully it will pass. And then we go over to the Senate and see if we can pass it there. And that's why we have this aggressive program by the U.S. Treasury and government to give more jobs to the Federal Reserve to deflect the criticism of the Fed and to keep it in business. And the Fed is at the bottom of all of these financial problems that we've got today. I saw Mr. Geithler on television today say that, well, the Fed couldn't do anything about the banks because they're thrifts. An outrageous lie. Outrageous.
All the bill calls for is an audit of the Federal Reserve. That's all it's calling for, is an honest audit of the Federal Reserve, right?
Right. When they find out what they've been doing, the public's going to just freak out.
www.theinternationalforecaster.com, and the number once again, 877-479-8178. Senate Bill 604, Federal Reserve Sunshine Act. Contact your senators, contact your representatives that they get this passed. Two places, gold, silver, Canadian dollars. They're all safer places to put your money right now, and you can do any of those very, very easily. The advice that Mr. Chapman gives is advice not only for the wealthy, but it's for you and me. It's advice that we can take, we can learn from, and it's a question of survival in these times. You're looking for the dollar to take a precipitous drop. July should be a critical month, shouldn't it?
July and then through the remainder of the year, it's going to be very, very tough. It's a non-election year, so bad things are going to happen.
Oh, like they haven't already. Robert Chapman, theinternationalforecaster.com, 877-479-8178. Do yourself a favor. Please subscribe. You will be very, very pleased. And it could be your only chance to pull it together and to survive this is by following the advice of Robert Chapman. I have. It works. Thank you for being on, Mr. Chapman.
See you again next month. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.